We all know that a solid night of quality sleep can do a world of good for us. I ran across some recent research we will be talking about today that adds fuel to the fire for the importance of sleep quality and heart health. I'm Jay, and this is Somnilopod. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I have been gone for a bit. I actually am returning from the National Sleep Conference in the lovely city of Charlotte, North Carolina. It's been a couple of years since I attended just because of COVID. So it was nice to get back into the groove and see some colleagues that I hadn't seen in a long time and get some education that I will be relaying on to you over the next several months. A lot of good information that gets spread through the National Sleep Conference. And did you know that we had a sleep conference? I always like to tease and tell people that we just use it as an opportunity to get together and take naps. While there was napping that did occur on my part, it was a very good opportunity for us all. That we have talked in the past about specific sleep disorders that can affect our cardiovascular health, our heart health. Specifically, I'm talking about obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea is a breathing disorder that occurs when the upper airway closes off during sleep. And that puts a lot of extra stress on the cardiovascular system, your heart and your lungs. A way I like to always describe it to people is to just, while you're awake and paying attention to your breathing, just start holding your breath. And as you're doing that, you can feel your heartbeat start to slow down. And then when you breathe again, your heartbeat starts to speed back up. Now, that's just an example of you doing it once. Imagine doing that 500 times over the course of 6 or 7 hours. You can imagine the impact that type of thing can have because of that specific sleep disorder. Interestingly, I ran across a recent study from the University of South Florida that actually looks at other things, not necessarily a sleep disorder, but sleep quality and its effect on heart health. Now, you might wonder why would we want to worry about doing research and looking at this information? Well, I have some information for you from, of course, my favorite place, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control. If you want to check out their website, you can. But we've all heard that heart disease is one of the leading, in fact, it is the leading cause of death for men and women in the United States. On average, one person dies every 36 seconds in the United States from cardiovascular disease. So that means since we've been talking, about 5 to 6 people have died as a result of cardiovascular disease. In the United States, the cost of heart disease in the United States alone averages upwards of $363 million. Did I say 363 million? I meant billion dollars. Now, that includes the cost of healthcare services, of medicines, of loss of productivity, of death, just all of the impact that can have on a family and on a society. Now, each year, about 805,000 people in the United States have a heart attack. Now, that's as a result of cardiovascular disease. The majority of those people, over 600,000 of them, that is a first-time heart attack each year. And in 1 in 5, that's actually a silent heart attack. They don't realize that they have had a heart attack. So the damage is done before they're even aware of it. Remember that last time you were helping a family member move a couch and you felt yourself get a little bit overexerted and your heart was beating, you got a little dizzy, you needed to take a rest. You felt a little bit better after a bit, but that could very well have been a silent heart attack. So the importance of research like this is evident just based on numbers like that, specifically here in the United States. Now, before we get into the specifics of the research, I do need to ask you a favor. If you would, on the platform that you're listening to the podcast on, go ahead and rate it or like it or give it a thumbs up, whatever method they use for tracking these things. You can give us a review as well. I'd like to get some specific feedback from you, and I really appreciate your help. I appreciate you joining me as well. So on to the research. Now, what they did from the University of South Florida, they looked at a group of 6,800, a little over 6,800 U.S. residents. Now, all of these people were on average 53 years of age, which is a little bit less than yours truly, I will admit. The reason they chose this specific age group is because in midlife is when we begin to see a lot of the effects of cardiovascular disease beginning to arise. Things like the amount of stress from life experiences, from work and family roles and things like that have begun to start to take their toll. So that's when they begin to see people going to the doctor to report that they're having some issues. So what they did, they looked at several things with regard to their sleep health. They looked at their regularity, their satisfaction, the amount of alertness that they felt during the day, the time they spent sleeping, their sleep efficiency, and their sleep duration, as well as whether they had been specifically diagnosed with heart disease. And what they found was that in those people that did report sleep health problems, as far as the sleep quality that we mentioned above, they had a 54% increased risk of heart disease. Now, in a smaller subset of that group, they looked at 633 individuals with a research device called an actigraph. We've talked about an actigraph before. It's a small device used a lot of times specifically in research settings that gives you an opportunity to look at the sleep cycle over a long period of time, sometimes a week to 2 weeks. And it basically measures movement. So they use sophisticated algorithms to look at the amount of movement and how it cycles throughout the day, so they can average the amount of sleep time that the patients are reporting. So rather than just having a lot of the self-reported information that the majority of the people in the study had, they actually had some specific objective data that they could look at. And what they found was that in those patients that reported those sleep issues, and they also had objective data, they had a much higher increase, up to 141% of an increase of risk for their cardiovascular issues. Now, it's important to point out in situations like this that part of why they're doing this research is so that we can look at the things that are contributing to some of this disease process, so that methods of being able to address and to treat cardiovascular disease and to affect it earlier in life can be implemented so that we can change some of those numbers that I talked about at the beginning that were from the Center of Disease Control. And what I wanted to, because I always like to leave everybody with something that you can at least try to implement, lifestyle changes to sort of affect your own cardiovascular health. So I did a quick search to look at recommendations from places like the Cleveland Clinic and the Mayo Clinic and other sources on the internet. And the top 3 that I found were to follow a heart-healthy diet. Add things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats to your diet. A lot of mention of the Mediterranean diet in the sources that I looked at. They also mentioned, and I've talked about this before and how much I hate it, regular exercise. But, we got to get our bodies moving. And not only will it help with our cardiovascular health, but regular exercise can also help with your sleep. So those quality measures that they looked at in the study, those things can be affected by specific regular exercise. And the third big recommendation was to quit smoking tobacco in any form, either smokeless or lighted up. They recommend getting that out of your life. And I think that we can safely add a 4th recommendation, which is to focus on your sleep health, to make sure that you're doing what you need to do to get a good night's sleep. I hope this has been informative for you. I know it was always fun for me to be able to research stuff like this and to find these little gems of research articles to be able to spread the word. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for future episodes, please let me know. You can reach me at j@somnilopod.com. You can also reach out to me through one of the social media posts, through Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Even check out the YouTube stuff, which I haven't been as diligent as I had hoped I would be about adding new content to that, but I'll work on that over the next year. So, but in the meantime, please remember to make sleep a priority. We'll talk again. Bye-bye.